Good evening and welcome to the Channel studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Ukrainian, Russian and Belarusian civil rights campaigners are the joint winners of this year's Nobel Peace Prize.
Has decided to award the Nobel Peace Prize for 2022 to one individual and 2 organizations.
The prize will be seen by many as a condemnation of Russian President Vladimir Putin, who is celebrating his 70th birthday, and Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko, making it one of the most politically contentious in decades.
Alex
Bialyatsky, a Belarusian who founded a human rights body of his own in response to protest crackdowns, took the award for his work as a human rights advocate. He's currently being held in pre-trial detention. The Russian human rights organization Memorial and the Ukrainian human rights organization the Center for Civil Liberties are also winners, recognized for their outstanding efforts to document war crimes, human rights abuses and the abuse of power.
The Peace Prize laureates represent civil society in their home countries. They have for many years promoted the right to criticize power and protect the fundamental rights of citizens. They have made an outstanding effort to document war crimes, human rights abuses, and the abuse of power.
Thailand's Prime Minister has met bereaved families and victims of an attack on a child daycare centre which killed 37 people. Prime Minister Prayuth Chan-o-cha spoke to families of the victims to offer his condolences and said they would receive compensation. It's after a 34-year-old attacker, a local named Panya Kamrab, shot and stabbed 37 people, most of them children, before killing his wife and his stepson and turning the gun on himself. Divisions between European Union leaders over capping gas prices and national rescue packages have resurfaced as discussions continue on how best to deal with a winter energy crisis. Meeting at Prague Castle, 15 EU states want a price cap on gas, but do not agree on the details of how it should be done. Meanwhile, Germany, Denmark and the Netherlands oppose any cap. The summit's chairman, European Council President Charles Michel, said no decisions were expected on Friday, but he hoped the discussion among leaders would lead to a deal when they next meet.
There is a huge pressure on the households, on the families, on the businesses and for the economic development within the EU. This is fundamental to be able to resolve this fundamental question. We do not have right to lose time. This is not an option to lose time, and we need to decide as soon as possible.
The number of people known to have been killed after an avalanche struck a team of mountaineers high in the Indian Himalayas has risen to 19. The 34 trainees and 7 instructors were practicing navigation when they were hit on their descent from a peak in the northern state of Uttarakhand. Persistent bad weather and snow complicated rescuers' efforts to reach the mountaineers. Rescue operations are continuing to search for 10 other people, that's according to local media. Lesotho is holding parliamentary elections with little sign that these will end years of political gridlock. 50 parties are contesting the Friday poll in the kingdom. Divisions and defections within the governing ABC party have left it vulnerable to opposition rivals, particularly the Democratic Congress. Last month, Lesotho's highest court overturned a state of emergency imposed in August after members of parliament failed to pass a raft of constitutional reforms. And finally, a fire has damaged the enigmatic statues on Easter Island, with some of the charring said to be irreplaceable. Chile's Cultural Heritage Undersecretary said that an unknown number of the stone-carved statues had been affected by the blaze. Easter Island has nearly 1,000 of the megaliths, known as Maui, carved by a Polynesian tribe more than 500 years ago. The fire, which is reported to have been started deliberately, is centred around Easter Island's Rano Raraku volcano, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.